During the Cold War, Washington and Moscow were separated by thousands of miles, giving leaders roughly 30 minutes to detect and evaluate a missile launch. India and Pakistan share a 2,000-mile border. In a nuclear scenario, their missile flight times compress that decision window down to mere minutes. This visualization maps out exactly what is exposed during those few minutes. We are looking at a combined population of roughly 1.4 billion people, existing alongside an estimated regional stockpile of 360 nuclear warheads. Looking at this bar chart, the conventional military asymmetry between the two nations becomes starkly apparent. India allocates roughly $60.5 billion to its defense budget, operating more than twice as many personnel. Pakistan's defense budget sits at just $10.3 billion. To offset this disadvantage in conventional funding and hardware, Islamabad relies on non-traditional military strategies to maintain its deterrence capabilities. Two fully weaponized nations operating in constant physical contact, with a massive disparity in conventional strength, creates a structural instability that makes this border the most volatile nuclear standoff on Earth. The modern boundaries of this conflict were drawn in the summer of 1947. Exhausted by the Second World War, the British Empire executed a rapid withdrawal from the subcontinent, tasking a British barrister with partitioning the region based on local religious majorities. The sudden division displaced 14 million people. Families were uprooted overnight, and organized sectarian violence across the new borders left more than 1 million dead. The princely state of Jammu and Kashmir presented a complex demographic problem. By the 1941 census, the territory was 77% Muslim, but its political and military structures were entirely controlled by a Hindu elite, led by the Maharaja. That dynastic control originated from a colonial receipt. A century earlier, the British East India Company sold this vast mountainous region to the Dogras for 7.5 million rupees under the Treaty of Amritsar. As the British departed, the Maharaja hesitated to join either India or Pakistan. That delay prompted an invasion by Pakistani-backed tribal militias, forcing him to sign an instrument of accession to India in exchange for an immediate military rescue. A hasty colonial exit transformed a semi-autonomous princely state into a heavily militarized fault line, locking the two new nations into a territorial dispute. India and Pakistan tested each other with traditional military offensives in 1947 and 1965. Both conflicts devolved into bloody, unresolved stalemates over the Kashmir territory. In 1971, the dynamics shifted during the Bangladesh Liberation War. India secured a decisive victory, leading to the creation of Bangladesh and forcing the surrender of 93,000 Pakistani troops. The massive troop surrender proved to the leadership in Islamabad that they could not win a prolonged conventional ground war against India's superior numbers. By 1999, the tactics shifted to extreme environments. During the Kargil War, Pakistani forces infiltrated across the line of control, initiating artillery exchanges and infantry battles at altitudes reaching 18,000 feet. Decades of conventional stalemates and battlefield defeats proved that traditional warfare would not resolve the border dispute. Those militaries began seeking alternative methods of deterrence, initiating a severe arms race. Driven by regional security anxieties, primarily concerning a shared border with China, India successfully detonated its first nuclear device in 1974, solidifying its capability with further tests in 1998. The detonations that cracked the earth at the Indian test sites triggered an immediate reactive series of nuclear tests by Pakistan in 1998, executed specifically to establish an asymmetric deterrent against India's massive conventional army. This line chart tracks the current trajectory of their regional arsenals. Based on recent SIPRI data, both nations are actively expanding and modernizing their stockpiles, with no signs of deceleration. Introducing nuclear weapons established a fragile ceiling over the region. It prevents total, all-out conventional war, but paradoxically provides a shield that allows subconventional and proxy conflicts to operate underneath it. This strategy manifests in relentless border skirmishes and deniable proxy terror attacks, most notably the 2008 siege in Mumbai, where armed militants bypassed the conventional military entirely. Acquiring nuclear weapons did not freeze the conflict. It pushed the violence into the shadows, making every skirmish and proxy attack a potential trigger for a catastrophic escalation. Beneath the military strategy and nuclear posturing lies the intergenerational trauma of the people who actually live along the border, starting with the millions displaced in 1947. Survivors of the partition carry specific, visceral memories of their flight, like families hiding crying babies inside wooden storage chests in the dead of night, terrified that any sound would alert the violent mobs outside. That collateral damage continues today. In 2017, a 12-year-old girl named Yasira Riyasat lost her leg to a stray artillery shell while playing near the line of control in Azad Kashmir. Border communities remain divided by heavily militarized zones, forced to navigate daily life around sniper fire, fortified bunkers, and sudden artillery barrages. The grand strategies of nuclear deterrence and asymmetric warfare ultimately translate into a permanent state of physical danger and psychological trauma for ordinary citizens caught in the crossfire. The fragility of this dynamic was exposed during the 2025 military crisis, which was immediately triggered by a proxy terrorist attack in Pahalgam that left 26 tourists dead. India launched a retaliatory strike, dubbed Operation Sindoor, and made the unprecedented move of suspending the vital Indus Water Treaty, effectively weaponizing the region's hydrology. Pakistan responded with a massive counteroffensive known as Operation Bunyan al-Marsus. The escalation spiraled into a highly destructive 4-day war, costing the combined economies an estimated $1 billion an hour. As military assets engaged, diplomatic communication broke down entirely. Without reliable backchannels, the compressed decision-making window brought both commands perilously close to the nuclear threshold. Without mutual confidence measures, transparent communication lines, or a resolution to the Kashmir dispute, the structural mechanics of this rivalry guarantee that the next major crisis is simply a matter of time.